Financial advisors know that many retirees will reach a point we call the regret zone. Regret comes from not living the life you can afford. Why does that happen? One reason is that people may focus on success and failure in retirement. That's a truly terrible way to think about retirement because it leads to stress, anxiety, and underspending. But you can also find yourself in the regret zone if your plan doesn't consider how spending needs typically change as people age. Often people assume they'll spend like this, the same amount every month and every year, just adjusted for inflation. This assumes they'll spend the same on food, vacations, gas, entertainment, and so on, whether they're 60 or 90. But research and our own experience tells us that isn't true. People typically spend more when they're young, healthy, and energetic, especially in those vacation years right at the beginning of retirement. But then spending slows down as we slow down. Here we see this pattern, sometimes called confusingly the retirement smile. We've stripped out inflation here, so you can think of this as a picture of how spending needs in constant dollars is changing as someone ages. Spending is high and even rises early on, then it slows down quite a bit, and then at the end it grows again. If we take this age-based spending path seriously and plan for it, we find that the exact same resources, for example, the same Social Security benefits and portfolio balance, can actually support much higher spending early in retirement, more than we would have been available if we were planning to have flat spending at all ages. As you can see here, by acknowledging we won't spend as much in our 80s and 90s, we can spend a lot more in our 60s and 70s. Typically, we're talking about 10 to 15% or more available spending in the early years. Retirees who don't plan for spending needs to change as they age can reach a point where they realize they've underspent at the beginning of retirement. But once they realize this, it's too late to go back. The grandkids are too old for Disney, or maybe health problems have arisen, or friends have died or moved away, or the financial support the kids could have really benefited from early in life is no longer needed or as impactful. And now the plan would support a much higher spending level than is actually needed or practically possible. Planning for flat spending instead of age-based spending can create a mismatch between available spending and the goals at that phase of life. Early on, not enough income when it's needed. Later, too much income when it's not needed. The age-based spending pattern more closely matches the phases of retirement, sometimes called the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. So, while there are situations when you might plan for other spending patterns, this age-based approach is incredibly powerful for helping retirees avoid regret by giving them permission to spend, pursue their interests, and build memories throughout life.